Now at 10, older veterans look back on their years of service and give some surprising advice to their younger selves. Plus, we take a look at the history of guerrilla tactics during the Civil War in Missouri. And the Community Clinic of Southwest Missouri celebrates 30 years of service.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Students in Miami, Oklahoma give a big thank you to military heroes. This is KOAM News at 10. I'm Dow Quick. Roosevelt Elementary students took part in a program honoring veterans and current service members at the Coleman Theater. The kids performed patriotic songs and recognized active duty service members and veteran family members, something the school's music teacher takes very personally.
I've got a lot of military members in my family, so it's something that I really take pride in. I spend a lot of time doing it as we get ready for the program. I ask everybody, send in your veterans. Doesn't have to be a military photo, just whatever photo you have. We want to honor them. And so I take the time to put it together, and I love it, and I think a lot of people think it's a great part of the day too.
This program was part of a week's worth of Veterans Day activities for the entire school district. The Roosevelt Assembly Veterans was especially meaningful to Sergeant Blake Byrne and his family. He surprised his 3 kids during a presentation by his oldest daughter after returning from a 10-month military deployment to Africa. He hadn't seen his kids since January 4th, and for him, the feeling of being far from home is kind of hard to explain.
It's one of those things that you just kind of get through it as best you can. Technology is amazing now, being able to FaceTime with them and see them. I talk to them just about every single day, talk to my wife every single day.
Sergeant Byrne is now going back to his civil job as a teacher in the junior high. A lot of veterans say serving is a life-changing experience. KOAM's Amber Jenkins asked a couple of veterans in Galena, Kansas, what they would say to their younger selves right before enlisting.
Well, we'll put it this way, I wouldn't take $1 million for the time I spent in there. I wouldn't re-enlist for $1 million.
Ernest Bidwell enlisted in the Army in 1956, back when he was a 17-year-old high school dropout.
I didn't have free education then.
Although he was young, he said the Army taught him about brotherhood and equality. Even when he was stationed in Germany, along with Elvis, he wasn't fazed.
Well, we both wear green uniforms, and we both could sing, so.
However, Richard Bratt says he picked up some bad habits when he was serving.
He's playing it safe. I didn't per se get myself into trouble, but I wasn't doing things that the Air Force particularly cared about.
When stationed in Europe during the Cold War, the then 19-year-old Bratt tried to explore the Russian-controlled East Berlin.
When I got ready to board the train, and there was a Russian soldier there, and he seen us, and he just flipped out. So I got to sit at an Army base for a couple of days being interrogated.
If he could today, Bratt says he would talk some sense into his former rowdy self.
Nobody twisted my arm, but if I had it all to do over again, I think I'd probably run with a different crowd, because I sure would like to have a pension now.
Reporting in Galena, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Galena Nursing Home plans to show its appreciation for vets with a ceremony. Crawford County Mental Health is also getting into the Veterans Day celebrations. The organization today hosted a luncheon for veterans. Not only was it a chance for the veterans to get a hot meal, they also learned about mental health benefits that are part of the organization's Service Members, Veterans, and Family Members program.
A lot of people get out and they feel isolated and alone, and this starts to reconnect and show people that there's other people who are not connecting with others. It gives you the opportunity to start to build some of those relationships. Yeah, and it gets the community involved and maybe lets the community see a little bit of what we're doing.
That lunch was hosted at the Memorial Auditorium in Pittsburgh. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy for a first look at the weather.
It definitely turned out to be a much cooler day for us today. After 80s for highs the past couple days, we set record highs on Tuesday, near records yesterday, 57 for a high today. We started at 47. 61 is the average high. So this is much closer to where we should be for this time of the year. You can see 40s out there right now. We're going to continue to drop back as we go through the evening hours, eventually into the upper 30s later on tonight. It's been windy all day, but at least the winds are starting to calm down a little bit, so it's not going to feel much colder than what it actually is, which is nice. We have the clouds. We've had showers all day long down through parts of Oklahoma, central Arkansas, southern parts of Missouri, but these have stayed mainly just to our south. So I think we're going to stay dry tonight. We are going to have the clouds, but we'll break out, see sunshine during the morning hours, and warming up a little bit more for us over the next couple days. We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
See you soon. Missouri is rich with history, and Crowder College is making sure its citizens know that. The college has been putting on history symposiums with special guest speakers. Today's event highlighted guerrilla tactics in Missouri used during the Civil War. KOAM's Anthony Saviello has more.
The United States is no stranger to the battlefield. Many of the battles that the U.S. has participated in have taken place right here on our own shores and amongst its own people. During the Civil War, Missouri was like many states, a battleground. However, the tactics used here made the war in Missouri gruesome.
The way it impacted everyone, not just the military, but literally the entire Civil War population. It was so nasty, you could say without exaggeration, that in the Civil War, Missouri was the worst place to be.
Dr. William Piston is a Civil War historian. In particular, he understands more than most how the war impacted the Show Me State.
A large number of people who supported the South simply never came back to the state. Many of them south in Arkansas, some of them as far away as Texas. After the war, the population of Missouri increases very rapidly, but a lot of that is from out-of-state migration.
Dr. Piston says guerrilla warfare was a tactic mainly used by the Confederacy in Missouri. But such brutal warfare took a toll not only on soldiers, but citizens as well.
It's been estimated that there were some 300,000 civilian refugees. That's about 1/3 of the population of the state became refugees at one point or another because it was not safe. They fled to the bigger cities where they could find safety.
Our nation's history isn't just who won the Civil War, but it's also the tactics and ways in which it was fought that also define our country. Reporting in Neosho, I'm Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
The next speaker will be at Crowder College next semester, March 7th. That event's going to be open to the public with food provided. The Community Clinic of Southwest Missouri celebrates 30 years of providing care for the uninsured in Southwest Missouri with an open house and ribbon cutting today. The Community Clinic serves uninsured population who are typically the working poor. The clinic receives no direct government funding to provide services and relies solely on donations, private foundations, and volunteers to serve the community. MSSU's Plaster School of Business hosted a business competition for area high school students today. The Business Gateway event welcomed 600 students from 20 schools for a variety of competitive events, presentations, workshops, including Build a Bridge and Build a Tower workshops. Organizers feel the event gives students a leg up in the world of business as well as for future competitions. This is the second year for the Business Gateway event at MSSU. A little bit later, Wes Brandstetter kicks off a new era of sports at PSU. John's going to talk to the head coach of the women's soccer program. First, though, Israel opens a safe route for civilian passage, but says a ceasefire is still not on the table. According to the White House, Israel has agreed to daily 4-hour pauses in airstrikes to allow civilians to flee northern Gaza. So-called tactical pauses were already underway, and about 80,000 people were able to escape from the war zone yesterday. Skylar Henry has the latest.
Heavy battles raged in Gaza. This Israeli military footage shows soldiers walking into a building they say is a Hamas weapons manufacturing site. With the Gaza crisis growing, the White House says Israel has agreed to put in place 4-hour pauses in the fighting each day. President Biden indicated he asked Israel's prime minister for longer breaks.
Did you ask him to pause for 3 days to get the hostages out for that
Yes.
length of time?
I've asked for even a longer pause for some of them.
Israeli authorities say since the beginning of the war, some 700 supply trucks have entered the Palestinian enclave. But observers say that's not nearly enough.
We are in war. We didn't pick up this war. Hamas chose to open this war.
Amid anti-war protests around the U.S., a crowd gathered outside the State Department in Washington. In Tel Aviv, Israelis took to the streets over the plight of hostages in Gaza.
They've been in captivity for 34 days, and no humanitarian organization has identified them, has reached out to them, has confirmed that they're alive.
The owner of the house is missing. The issue is that the fire here was so intense that at this temperature, even bones disintegrate.
Archaeological investigators are sifting through the carnage to identify victims' remains at this devastated kibbutz in southern Israel. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Washington.
And CBS News can confirm that talks are progressing toward a deal that would free between 12 and 15 hostages in exchange for a 2 or 3 day humanitarian pause. CIA Director William Burns and the Mossad Director are taking part in those discussions in Qatar. Doug's forecast is next, and a little bit later, the city of Neosho dons its best holiday apparel to kick off the Christmas season.
With our two biggest now $1,000 off. Plus, Friday through Monday, veterans save an extra 5% only at Ashley.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a much cooler day for us today. Temperatures only into the upper 50s during the afternoon. A lot of clouds. Most of us have stayed dry. We've had a couple random sprinkles in our far southern counties, but besides that, we look pretty good. Nice shot. This is our Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex tower cam, downtown Joplin. You can see the wind is blowing a little bit. You can see the flags blowing, but the winds are going to start to calm down a little bit as we go through the overnight hours. It's Thursday, and Thursday means the new drought tracker comes out. Of course, we've been in a drought for about 18 months, about a year and a half. We are putting a big dent into it, which is great. If you live along and south of I-44, you don't have any drought concerns. Once you get to Joplin, Pittsburgh, it's dry, but we really don't have real drought concerns until you get to Fort Scott, Nevada, over toward Iola, Yates Center, and down toward Independence. But at least this map is looking better each and every week. Look at our temperature change. Lower 80s yesterday, and we stayed in the 50s for us today. In fact, we had a midnight high of 57 degrees, but we kind of hung into lower 50s all day long. It's been windy. The winds are backing down a little bit, so I think they're going to be near calm as we go through the overnight hours for us tonight, which is good. It's not going to make it feel colder than what it actually is. 46 by 11 down to 36 by 7, back to 51 by 10 a.m. We will get rid of the clouds. You can see we're socked in with the clouds, and showers down across parts of Oklahoma and Arkansas. These are staying south of us. In fact, you can see they're heading away from us. So we did miss out on the rain, but we did get the cooler temperatures kind of back to where we should be for this time of the year. This wave is going to push right on by. We do have another one moving into the Pacific Northwest, but these are very weak waves. I don't see a big storm system moving in for at least another week. So we just have these weak little waves that are going to pass on through. All right, let me walk you through your Friday into your weekend. Kind of cold this morning, or this coming morning, down into the upper 30s. As we get to the noon hour, upper 50s to near 60, so a little bit warmer than what we did see today. I think most of us are going to top out kind of in that 60 to 62 degree range. As we go into tomorrow night, Friday night, we get some clouds backing down mid-30s once again. Then your Saturday, kind of in and out of the clouds, but again, not a bad day. High temperatures right around 60 degrees, so very consistent as we go through the next few days. 9 a.m. 46, 60 by 1. 5 p.m. we back down to about 55. If you want to take a look at the weekend, shaping up pretty good. Nice fall temperatures, 60 on Saturday, 65 on Sunday. It's going to be a little bit chilly during the overnight hours, but both of the days mild and sunny skies, so kind of hard to beat. All right, for your Fridays, 62, partly sunny, sunny skies Saturday, 60, 65 Sunday. Look at this, 68s on Monday into Tuesday. I really don't see a chance for rain until the middle to the latter half of next week, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, into Friday. But again, these aren't big storm systems, so overall, pretty quiet over about the next 7 to 10 days.
Looks pretty good, Doug. Thanks. City of Neosho, Missouri is preparing its Christmas lights displays. Crews have looked over their displays to make sure every bulb is working, and today they were out putting up the decorations. The displays have been growing and don't show any signs of it slowing down.
For the last 5 years, the Christmas lighting displays here in the community of the city of Neosho has just grown. And you see how people want to be involved, and we've had people, donate, and just the city itself wants to be involved in putting in more Christmas lights for the city of Neosho.
You're going to find the bigger displays in Big Spring Park. There will also be new lights on McCord Street and Neosho Boulevard. There'll be a public lighting ceremony at the end of November at Big Spring Park. Still ahead, Pitt State football head coach Brian Wright addresses his confidence level in the Gorillas field goal unit. And Missouri Southern men's basketball prepares for the season opener. John Dales has those stories and a lot more. It's coming up next.
The man.
Wes Brandstetter is the new head coach of Pitt State women's soccer, the first head coach in program history at that. Earlier today, I had the chance to catch up with him and figure out what made this job so attractive.
I had a soccer player who kicked at Pitt State, Jared Vincent. I think he's got a couple records 4 or 5 years ago. I think he graduated. And his dad and I always had a good relationship. So I'm like, hey, his dad went there. Let's call him, see what he says. And he's like, nothing but the best to say. He's like, he goes, I'd move up there in a second. He's like, they support athletics. They support the school. Like, the town is awesome. Like, he goes, I would move there in a New York second. Just all great things to say. And then just meeting with Dan and Jim and just seeing their vision for the school and the vision for the athletic department, just great people to work for.
A year ago, Pitt State football's perfect season ended on a missed field goal in the second round of the playoffs against future national champion Ferris State. Now, this past Saturday, the Gorillas' undefeated 2023 season ended with a 1-point loss after a missed extra point late in the fourth quarter against Missouri Western. Nevertheless, head coach Brian Wright says he still has plenty of confidence in his kicking group going forward.
It's like anything else. When everybody on that unit does their job, then we can execute at a really high level. It's the same for offense and defense, and at that moment and that point, we didn't do that. And we got to understand, just like any part of football, that on that field goal unit, you have to do your job at that moment in time. And when you do that, good things happen. And when you don't do that, bad things happen. And that's what showed up on Saturday. So I have every bit of confidence in that unit and our kicker.
This Saturday's game is at 2 o'clock at Carney Smith Stadium. In all likelihood, PSU will need to win in order to clinch a spot in the playoffs. Central Oklahoma is the opponent, and it comes in at 5-5. The Gorillas have won their last 6 games against the Broncos, dating back to 2016. Over to college basketball. Tomorrow's day 1 of the 2023-24 season. This week, we've been previewing our local teams, and that continues this evening with Missouri Southern men's hoops. The Lions open the season in Kansas City in the Central Region tip-off. They play Minnesota State Moorhead and Bemidji State on Friday and Saturday. Much like a lot of the college hoops teams that have been practicing against each other since this summer, the Lions are excited to face an opponent besides themselves.
Our returners have really helped out our new guys. We have 5 new guys, and kind of showing them the ropes and what we want on defense, what we want on offense, and they've just been invaluable for us, really teaching our new guys kind of the lay of the land. And we're just going to take it one game at a time and see where the chips fall.
Neutral sites are always just about who's going to bring more energy. So I think that's our main goal is just, be the court that puts it on them, not put it on us. So I think energy is a big thing, and just playing within ourselves too, not trying to do too much, just playing our roles, doing what we got to do to win.
Back to what I was just talking about with Pitt State football, I feel like sometimes people minimize special teams, especially field goal kickers, but so many times a playoff game comes down to just one snap and one kick.
It's happened to the Gorillas more than once, including in the playoffs last year. One kick, one way or the other, can make a huge difference. We'll be right back.
Hero.
Well, Friday looks like a pretty good day to wrap up the work week. 62 partly sunny skies, down to 39 Saturday morning. 60 on Saturday, so a hair cooler. 65 Sunday, 68 on Monday. So we have a really nice stretch of fall-like weather, which is going to be pushing through over the next few days. I really don't see a chance for rain till late Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week.
Doug, thanks. Hey, look at this. Griggs Park in Carthage has a new basketball court. And what better way to break it in than with a friendly exhibition game? But it wasn't the local high school players out there. No. It was their coaches going against the Carthage Police Department. The city's Parks and Rec Department hosted the game as a way to get the public excited about the new addition.
We found out that Misha said that we couldn't play, and that's fine. Our coaches love to play. So we're actually going to be switching sides. We're going to be coaching them up, telling them how to play, and I think it should be a lot of fun.
We ended up playing the coaches, so our guys were excited to get out and play some ball. It's been a hot minute since they've been playing some basketball, so I have a feeling we're going to get schooled by these guys, but we're going to give it a go. Got some competitive guys ready to go.
There were also treats and giveaways at the game. Who won, you ask? Well, the city of Carthage won. Of course, they have a new basketball court. The score, I don't know. It doesn't really matter, does it? Final sports note.
Yeah, big day for Carthage tomorrow as well, and also plenty of our other local high schools. Our high school football game of the week is Carthage taking on Webb City in the playoffs. That's a big one.
Yeah.
A couple other games. Carl Junction plays Nevada in a district championship. Joplin is on the road at Nixa. Plenty of big games in our area. Parsons at home as well. We're going to have a lot of that covered tomorrow night.
And those could all be really good games.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us. Morning show starts at 5 a.m. Let's make it a great tomorrow.
On KOAM News is